Good morning, Titans. Today's video is going to help you figure out how to complete your newest assignment, the Transferable Skills Chart from Chapter 10. All right, so imagining that you are in Miss Thies' class, you're going to go to her Teams page at teams.microsoft.com and click on whichever period you're in. I'm going to imagine that I'm a first period student. And you are going to notice that in the feed, there is a brand new assignment here posted with Chapter 10, Transferable Skills Charts. Again, you can get to your assignments in several different ways. You can click on the assignment in the feed, but let's say it gets like buried in here somewhere. You can always go up to Assignments, and you can see all the past due assignments and all the new ones. Notice that this one is going to be due Friday at the end of the day. And of course, nobody's turned it in yet. One enterprising student has already viewed it. Look at you, Jose. Okay. But going to our student view, this is what it should look like on your end. This is a 20-point assignment. It is going to be very helpful for us when we are starting our job applications and resumes unit next week, which is something that I'm very excited for because it's like the most real-world lesson that you're ever going to get in high school, at least in my opinion. The final activity this week is going to help us prepare for that unit by talking about our best skills and abilities, right? When you are doing a job application, when you're doing a resume, essentially you're humble bragging about all the things that you're good at and all the experiences that you have that make you awesome. So having all of your skills in one place is a really good way to start. And this is basically a place to put all of your skills in one place. And especially the skills that can transfer between one career and another. And as we'll see next week when we start on job applications, there are many skills that you already have that can be relevant that you don't necessarily think might be relevant at the time. But next week we'll start kind of talking about, even when you're looking for a basic like entry-level cashier's job, a lot of these skills that you put down on the list can actually translate and can make you look like the best candidate so that you can be the one that gets hired. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. For this assignment, I'm not going to use my 10yearplan.com because honestly, it's a little confusing on that website. I had a hard time figuring out how to input things. And so instead, we've put together a document that you can edit and save on your computer. I've got a lot of reference materials for you, so I'm just going to lead you through them one by one. And then I'll show you guys how to edit and complete your own personal student example. All right, so I'm going to look at my example first. It should open up like this for you guys in an Excel document. This is a read only, so this is just my copy that you can look at for an example. All right, I'm going to read through the directions with you guys. A transferable skill is a skill or ability that can be used in a variety of careers or jobs and can transfer from one job to another in the case of a career change. Knowing which skills are needed for your future career and which ones you already possess can help you know what to highlight in a job resume or interview. This list should be updated regularly as you gain more skills and experience. Directions: fill in the My Skills column, right here, with the skills and abilities that are necessary for the job you want. You can look back at the workbook pages listed below, right here, and resources, or you can find a comprehensive list of transferable skills at www.onetonline.org/skills. Put a check mark in the column only if it applies to that job. And how do you know which skills are essential for that future career or entry-level job? Well, go back to your research from California Career Zone, from Chapter 6, the workbook pages 150 through 155, or you can do additional online research if you really need to. Now, if the job calls for skills or knowledge that you don't have yet, put it in the bottom of the chart in the skills I need. Let me show you guys what that looks like. In the top half of this chart, I've got my skills listed in this column. I found those by looking at my workbook, by looking at several different pages, the skills that I already listed on these pages 48 and 132. I looked back at 150 through 155 at the career research, and I went to the internet if I really had to. Now, the three careers that that I researched on 150 through 155, I researched the careers of an English teacher, speech-language pathologist, and educational counselor. So, first of all, I went back to these pages, and I noticed that I have a lot of skills already. Like, I'm a pretty skilled person. I know how to absolutely listen. I know reading comprehension, instruction and teaching. I know how to write. I have creativity, organization. I can sing. I know how to breathe. That sounds weird, but it's really kind of tied into singing with the breathing techniques. And all those skills might be useful for one of these careers or more. Now, the whole thing about being transferable is that, okay, active listening, yes, I have to use that for an English teacher, but it can also transfer if I want to become a speech language pathologist or if I want to become an educational counselor. All those 3 careers employ active listening. Now, reading comprehension, the same thing. All 3 careers use reading comprehension. But for something like instruction and teaching, well, of course, if you want to be a teacher, that makes sense. And as a speech language pathologist, you're kind of teaching people one-on-one how to do things vocally. But for a counselor, they don't do as much instruction and teaching. It's mostly kind of all group lectures. Now, writing is a useful skill when you're a teacher and a counselor. As a speech pathologist, I mean, it's necessary, but it's not like an essential skill because you're really mostly working with speech. Now, creativity, definitely for an English teacher and speech pathologist. For a counselor, really, I don't know how much creativity comes into play. Organization, all of them need that. Now, for singing and vocal performance, unless I'm going to be a music teacher, singing doesn't really come into play a whole lot with being an English teacher or being a counselor. Where it might come into handy, though, is if I was a speech pathologist, I already have knowledge of how to do certain breathing techniques that might help the voice and how to enunciate words that I've learned, the skill that I've learned in choir, and all these different singing techniques can kind of transfer over into that career. So that's one that really only fits with one career. If I go down the list a little more, you can see some other examples. For example, critical thinking can mesh with all of them, and so can collaboration, computer skills. Now, for something like crafting or origami, that's not really necessary for a counselor. And for these things here, like swimming or being good at board games or being good at cooking, those are not really related to any of these 3 careers. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't put them on the list, but it means you should think critically before just putting an X in this column because, like, unless I'm going to be a PE teacher, swimming isn't really going to help me be a better English teacher. It might help me be a better person or a more well-rounded person, but it's not something that I want to put on a resume. Same with board games. Like, okay, I guess really you could make it stretch and say, oh, if you're going to be an English teacher, you create games for your class. But that's really a stretch. If you put this on a resume, people are going to look at you and be like, this is completely off topic. Why would you even bother putting it in there? So make sure that you can put them on the list, but just don't check it if it doesn't apply. The last section at the bottom here is skills that I need, but I haven't actually mastered them yet. So for example, as an English teacher and a guidance counselor, you have to do a lot of public speaking. And that is personally something that I still fear a lot. Public speaking is one of my worst nemesis. And I know it's kind of the same for a lot of you. So that's a skill that I still need to master. Like, it doesn't mean that I haven't done it before, that I don't have experience with it, but it's something I'm not comfortable saying that, yes, this is my best quality ever. The same thing for some computer knowledge. I can do basic, like Microsoft PowerPoint, Word, Excel, but other programs like, for example, screencasting and creating YouTube videos, I was super uncomfortable with that. And those are things that I haven't really mastered that I might need to know more of those to be a better English teacher, to be a school counselor. Time management is also a big one for me that I'm not great at yet, but that's something that I would need for pretty much any job. Notice how that skill kind of transfers over too. So that is my example. I'm going to close this out and show you a couple others. This is Miss Guerriero's example. And notice that hers are a little bit different. She had 2 that are kind of similar, but she also has this job of an ecologist. And notice that she's got all these skills like camping, hiking, map reading that they don't really apply to the first two, but if she ever wanted to change career paths, like she's got all the skills needed to be an incredible ecologist. She would just need a couple of biology skills too. So the careers, like, they don't really have to be related. You can kind of think about the ones that you need for each job. Close that out. Another couple of resources that I have for you, if you're having trouble thinking of job skills, I'm going to show you a workbook page that I just took a picture of in my workbook. So the job skills on 132 in your workbook, they have different physical skills, different intellectual skills, social skills, and then skills that you want to acquire or that you want to get someday. So this is where I got a lot of the skills off of my list. Closing that out. I can also look in my workbook at page 48, which is the skills identification. And they have a lot of checklists here, things that you already have. We already did that in class, and skills that you want to gain. And then you can look at the ones that you have down here and think about how many of those will transfer over to that skills chart as well. Okay, the last thing is how you edit your own copy. So student work, click on the one under student work, and notice it should say student copy. There is a blank copy here for you to fill in with the same instructions. If I go to edit workbook, then it lets me automatically put in changes. Like, let's say I'm going to put in chosen career, English teacher, backup career, speech pathologist, and counselor. And I'm going to put active listening in that column. Okay. And let's say, okay, well, I got distracted. I want to come back to this later. If I close it out, I can go back to it and notice that it has saved my work. So you can go back to, again, to edit workbook. And then you can continue putting in things where you left off. So you don't have to do it all in one sitting. You can just edit directly in the workbook, and then I can see all of the work that you have saved there. Now, if you're a little bit concerned about it not saving your work, what you can do is go up here to File and go Save As. And you can either save a copy online, so you can save it to your OneDrive, or you can download a copy to your computer. This is the option if you want to have a copy that you can save for future use. I would recommend downloading a copy to your computer. And then when you save it on here, it'll also it'll save a copy online for you too. So do that if you want to save it, because we will be coming back to this chart again and again, especially during job applications and resumes, because all the skills that you list here are probably going to go on your resume, and it's something that you'll want to talk about when you're doing job applications and when you're doing interviews. All right, so closing that out. Again, this is the one that you're going to edit yourself, and I hope that this tutorial was helpful for you to get started. Let me know if you have any additional questions. Have a great day.